Well, welcome everyone. So glad you're here. You're listening to A Night at the Roundtable, coming to you live from bbsradio.com, Station 1. My name is Caroline Oceana Ryan. I'm an author and channeler, and I'll be your host for the evening. And I'm here with my really wonderful co-hosts, energy healer Randy Miller, energy healer and bioenergetics expert Vinayak, our Faction 3 White Knights, Rama Berkowitz and Tara Green, and our wonderful panelists, Penny Christofferson and Micah Green. And our guest, who will be on in the first hour, is author Tom T. Moore, and he has astounding information to share about angels, about the power of a particular form of prayer that he has really popularized called the Most Benevolent Outcomes and other benevolent prayers. So we really look forward to that. He's also good friends with a wonderful ET who has shared so much information about the movement and influence and insights of our extraterrestrial friends in regards to Earth life. He's written wonderful books, a whole series called The Gentle Way, about conversing with angels and connecting with your guardian angels, and as well about connecting with extraterrestrials, and beautiful information from the ETs on Atlantis and Lemuria in another wonderful book. So we'll be with him shortly. Please do call in if you've got a comment or question for any of the co-hosts or for our guest. Doesn't have to be directly about what we're talking about, but please do call in. And the numbers to call for Station 1 are 888-627-6008 or 323-744-4831. And they're listed there at the bbsradio.com homepage. All right, wonderful. So just to start us off quickly, we're just going to have a brief meditation. And I'm going to ask it, I hope everyone will support me in this, ask that our beautiful soul groups stand around us for a moment. So if you just want to take in some beautiful, deep, slow breaths, maybe lightly put your fingertips on your heart space to center yourself there. Breathing in slowly through the nose with mouth closed. And then breathing out through the open mouth slowly. And if we can just sort of slow our breath and become very conscious of our breath and of being fully in the body, think of yourself in your heart space, put yourself in a big, huge heart if you'd like. Just image that or get the feeling of it. And that's your phenomenal, magnanimous heart that you're in, beaming out so much love to everywhere in the world that's crying out for assistance right now. Sending out beautiful light to everyone feeling very lost or alone. There's great trouble in many spots in the world. Certainly we have our challenges here in the US and every country going through incredible transformation on many levels. So let's just use that lovely image that Rama and Tara and Rama's contacts have given us of this lovely flow of beautiful heart-based rose-colored ray light flowing through every area right now, particularly those areas that are war-torn, that are recovering from severe flooding or earthquake, the contamination of the vinyl chloride and other dreadful chemicals in East Palestine, Ohio, from the train crash, the Nord Stream pipeline situation, flooding in Pakistan, they're still recovering from that, flooding in California, just everywhere you can think of. People in sorrow because they've lost a loved one recently. And just flow that rose ray of Mother Mary beautifully through the whole earth, and just trust it's going to reach the heart of everyone that is crying out for assistance and comfort and someone to hear them. And again, our beautiful soul groups are around us. And if you can visually, inwardly see them, you may see that some of them are different colors and different shapes because they come from different planets. You might sort of bump into someone who looks very like something that you really resonate with. They might come from a water planet, as our friend Tom, our guest Tom Moore, comes from originally. That's his soul origin place, and Sirius B. And you might be surprised at the beauty of that planet if you just let yourself flow there for a moment. And get the feeling of your home planet, even if you don't get any images. And it might be Earth, that's fine. But get the feeling of a higher vibrational place to live right now, where things flow so beautifully and people are living in utter cooperation. And there's no stealing of resources from the Earth or from one another. There's no upheaval in the planet, just calm. So you're in a place now which either has never fallen to a lower dimension, as Earth did, or which has risen from it. And just see that beautiful light, beautiful rose ray, like a flowing cloud of light, if that helps, or a flowing river of energy. Flowing through the Earth, flowing through every planet in this universe. And with our soul group around us and our angels around us, we call upon the benevolent solution of joy and healing and transformation that is easeful and calm and graceful for all who call out for that now. We send light to all who have made their transition lately. We flow this beautiful rose ray into the heart of every mother who has lost a child and every child who has lost a parent. You don't need to take on their sorrow. We're sending light to it. Reminding them of how intrinsically powerful and wonderful they are. I can hear the collective saying, remember, you are light bringers who have come to anchor your true selves, your most highest and most authentic self. The reality of that, the vibration of that into the earth. So it's almost as if you're the ET who has come in to assist and to lift, not to do the work for everyone, but to bring so much hope and joy at this transformation, which can feel like hard work some days. These are very brilliant light waves coming in. So as we bring this gentle rose-colored ray in, we're supporting everyone in that journey. And just keep that beautiful flow of light, dear ones, because that is just going to assist you in feeling more and more at home and more at rest and at peace with all the changes occurring now. Wonderful. So we thank our soul family and our angels for being with us. Much love to all of them. I just want to briefly read from the Law of One. We are all one. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, we ask that only that which is for the higher good of all happen now and always. We give thanks, it is done, so mote it be. Really wonderful. All right. So let's just welcome our guest now, Tom T. Moore. He is an award-winning author and speaker, and he's been in the entertainment business for over 40 years. He's been president and CEO of his own international motion picture and TV program distribution business based in Plano, Texas. Tom is the author of 6 books: The Gentle Way, a self-help guide for those who believe in angels. The Gentle Way 2, The Story Continues. The Gentle Way 3, Master Your Life. The Gentle Way with Pets, Angelic Help for Your Animal Companions. First Contact, Conversations with an ET. And Atlantis and Lemuria, The Lost Continents Revealed. So the Gentle Way books provide a simple yet powerful tool for everyday use that's a giant step forward from the law of attraction, and include hundreds of stories sent to Mr. Moore from all over the world, from people living the Gentle Way. Tom was voted best self-help author for 3 straight years by the readers of a health magazine. He's utilized the Gentle Way in both his professional and personal life. Tom is one of those rare people who's also a telepath, which has allowed him, while in a meditative state, to provide detailed information about extraterrestrials, Earth's history, and the lost continents of Atlantis and Lemuria in his book and in his speaking engagements. So his website is thegentlewaybook.com, and you'll find there his wonderful weekly newsletter, which always relays answers that he channels from his guardian angel, Theo, and Antura, his ET friend. So wonderful. Tom, we're just very happy to have you here, and welcome. And, I first heard about your work probably 10, 11 years ago, and I thought, what a cool thing, these MBOs. They are wonderful. Can you tell us what is an MBO? And then along with that, what's a BP? And you call them life changers. How do they change our life?
Sure. Thanks for having me. An MBO is simply an abbreviation for Most Benevolent Outcomes. And BP stands for Benevolent Prayer. I use those anagrams or whatever abbreviations because writing them out all the time in my newsletters would get a little tiring. So it's a request that you say, and it's specifically for you. When you say, I request a most benevolent outcome for blank, 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 thank you, then that request is for you. And you say it out loud because I'm told that in the future, scientists will rediscover the power of the verbal voice. So that's how those pyramids were built, using special sounds that groups of people used to lift the blocks and move them. So we're going to rediscover that in the future, but you can use it now in your own life to request things as mundane as a parking spot in front of a busy restaurant or mall or whatever, to the really important things like, I request a most benevolent outcome for the perfect mate for me, or I request a most benevolent outcome for the perfect job for me, or I request a most benevolent outcome for the perfect home for me. Now, all of those take time to generate, to come about. So I recommend starting to request MBOs for the mundane things where you get immediate feedback. And that way, you know it's working. And also you won't forget to use it when you're in a really perhaps a dangerous situation. I've had more than one person, like a lady in Kansas, that wrote to me and said that she had just moved to a farm in Kansas. There was a tornado on the way, and so she grabbed her kids, ran for the basement, and requested a benevolent outcome. And the tornado lifted up and went right over her house. So you can use it in some really, really dangerous situations, and but you have to get in practice. So it's like automatic. Oh, I request an MBO, and you can say MBO because some people have a hard time saying benevolent, although that word is used much more than it was back in the time when I first started using it. after reading a channeled article in the Sedona Journal of Emergence, where I'm a columnist now. And so that's how you use it. And it's for you. Now, for other people, you say it a little differently. And in my first book, I called it Living Prayer. But in my second Gentle Way book, I changed it to make it easy for everyone to remember, just as easy as requesting a benevolent outcome. And that was, I request, you say, I ask any and all beings to aid, comfort, and assist the people in Turkey and Syria to recover from these major earthquakes. Thank you. Something on that order. You're using it for other people. And it may be just for one person that's going into the hospital for an operation or whatever, but it's what you say for other people.
Okay, so you're not going to say, angels request the most benevolent outcome for my friend tomorrow who's going into surgery. You would phrase it a bit different. You're just saying, I ask for assistance. Or
yes, you say, I ask any and all beings to aid and assist my friend Mary when she has her procedure in the hospital tomorrow, for the surgeon and nurses and staff to do their jobs perfectly, so that Mary will return to full health even sooner than we can hope or expect. So you can change it according to the circumstances.
Sure, absolutely. And what I find really interesting is that you emphasize in your newsletter and in the books that it's very important to speak the MBOs or the BPs, the most benevolent outcome prayers, or the benevolent prayers for others, to speak them out loud, because this is a point of co-creation. And that it's true in all of these different creation stories from religions all across the globe. They talk about how God spake, or, God spoke and this was formed, kind of a thing. The planet was formed, or then the land and then the waters. And even in the Narnia Chronicles, as that world is being created, Aslan opens, the lion opens his mouth wide and emits this astounding sound, which isn't exactly a roar. It's sort of this beautiful high-pitched tone. And that's how the world begins to take shape. And I had not been thinking about that, because I was taught to pray in silence, unless speaking the Lord's Prayer.
And that's something, I mean, if for those in your audience that go to church, as an example, most of the time it's one person up at the front of the church saying the prayer and everyone else is silent. Now, if all the people in the church say exactly the same prayer, it acts as a crescendo, and it becomes much, much more powerful than if just one person says it. So there's great power when everyone says the same prayer all at the same time.
Fantastic. I just think that's beautiful. I love what you point out about the pyramids and how they use sound vibration to lift those incredibly monolithic stones. So you've said that in your writing, that each guardian angel takes care of the soul fragments of their clients' souls in all their lifetimes at the same time. And we're all living, you're saying, about 12 lifetimes at one time. Is that right?
That's correct. There are 12 parallel lives all going on at the same time. There's 12 parallel yous. Now, the highest frequency is non-physical. So I normally kind of discount it. It's non-physical, but from 11 on down to 1, those are all physical, just at different frequencies, with the higher timelines having easier lives than the lower timelines. So as an example, we're on timeline 6, and so timelines 11 down through 7 have easier lives than we do, and timelines 5 down to 1 have harder lives than we do. I've already died on timelines 1 and 2 from congestive heart failure. So all these lives are different depending on what timeline you're on. Most of our inventions, as an example, come from the upper timelines, and they work their way down to us.
Yeah. And do you think there's more open ET contact in the higher vibrational timelines? You think
probably much more accepting of the ETs than we have been. But if you notice, there is just this huge number of UFO sightings, and I'm told to tell my newsletter readers to keep their cell phones handy, because the UFOs are going, instead of being dots in the sky, they're going to be big, and you're going to see those lights or the shape of the spacecraft, and you'll be able to see it.
Well, do you think that those days are coming pretty soon? You think they mentioned that to you? Because
I was told that in, I think, last October, and they said in the next 6 months it's going to get really much more active, and even there are so many stories cropping up on YouTube and all of people that have seen UFOs that were perhaps kept quiet about it for many years, and they're finally telling their stories because they don't feel like they'll be thought of as a nutcase.
Yes, I agree. I remember when I was younger, people would just joke and say, "Oh, you're the tinfoil hat type." If somebody talked about, "I think I saw something," and there might be a few people who are interested, but they were considered sci-fi fans and not very down to earth. And it was, if that were true, the government would have told us, sort of thing. And now people are waking up and saying, actually, they're hiding a lot from us.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And of course, the governments even hide things from each other. I've communicated, besides with Antura, reluctantly, a Pleiadian that's on another mothership that's orbiting the Earth. Antura is orbiting the Earth on a mothership, but this Pleiadian is in charge of a group that meets once a month with 6 different countries. They're mostly like scientific people, and they're always trying to figure out how to back engineer all of these spacecraft that crashed in the 40s and 50s and all. And so his job, he says that all of these countries think they're the only ones that are talking to the Pleiadians, and his job is to make sure that nobody gets ahead of the others in figuring out how to do this back engineering.
Oh, wow. That is very interesting indeed. I want to stick with the angel info for a moment, and then we'll go back to the ETs, but that is fascinating. Okay, so something about the most benevolent outcome prayers is that your angel Theo, whom you call Theo, and he said you can call me whatever, and Theo Palpatine is a nice idea. I love that as well. But he's communicated to you in a meditation that requesting a most benevolent outcome is the first and easiest way to raise your vibrational level a little at a time. And he said, yeah, you can read all these articles and books, you can listen to a lot of programs, but until you start implementing communication with spirit, you'll remain on a plateau. And I loved that. I thought that was brilliant. I had never thought, even though I have been aware of the MBOs for a long time, I had never thought of that. And why do you think? Is it because it's part of co-creation, or erases the veil a bit?
Yeah, it just slowly raises your vibrational level. And people have all these different methods of trying to raise their vibrational level. But if they just start requesting benevolent outcomes for themselves and saying benevolent prayers for other people, it will raise their vibrational level slowly but surely.
Fantastic. Now, I can hear some people say what people have written to you at different times, which is, well, I prayed and asked for the most benevolent outcome, that I find the perfect house or the perfect new life partner for me or whatever. And that was 3 weeks ago and it hasn't happened yet. So what's going on?
No. And I've gotten ladies that have sent me emails and said, Tom, I've been requesting a most benevolent outcome for the perfect man for me, and it's been a month and nothing's happened yet. So it's I say, well, look, that person may be in another relationship right now that they have to look to get out of, or you may need a relationship before you're prepared for that perfect relationship with that person. So there are things that have to happen, but once you request that, it's going to happen. You just have to be patient. And when you hear that little whisper saying, you need to go to this event, or you need to take part in this charity drive, or whatever it happens to be, listen to that little whisper in your ear, because they're telling you, get on the move.
Yeah, very important. That's something I read years ago, and I realized, okay, then I'm part of this process. Whenever I want to create something new in my life, it's not happening separate from me. The creational process is right in me. And so I have to listen, pay attention to those inner nudges and little messages, or even outer signs. Someone suggests, oh, why don't you come with us to such and such next Thursday, what have you. And it's important to tune in and ask, your angels, or I call them my spirit team, guides, angels, higher self, and ask, is this important for me? And maybe even sort of muscle test it or what have you, and really listen, because those nudges are very, very important, and it's going to lead you very often to what you've asked for. And it doesn't always just trip down the path.
Yeah, sometimes they almost have to beat you over the head.
Yeah.
So, it's like I've had a couple of times where I've told people, I said it was like they had to take a 2x4 to this donkey, knock me in the head to get me to listen to do something.
Yeah. Oh, the times I haven't listened, I really wish I had. I'll put it to you that way. When to leave a particular place, or when to do this or that, and jump on this opportunity, that. And I've learned over the years, don't take any of that lightly.
No, even things like your drive to work. I mean, I've avoided a couple of really major car accidents just by requesting benevolent outcome for my drive to or from wherever I was going. So there is so many things that you can request benevolent outcomes for, and so many things that you can say a benevolent prayer for someone else that is struggling, and you can assist by saying a prayer for them. And I will mention that I design this request for an MBO, or asking for a benevolent prayer, so that there are no deities listed. So if you want to, instead of saying, I request the most benevolent outcome, if you want to say, dear God, or Allah, or Vishnu, I request the most benevolent outcome for blank, 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 amen. That's okay. It's up to you. But you don't have to, because they're listening. I guarantee it. That's only for you, because you've done it the same way for so many years. That's fine. Do it that way, but say it out loud and request that benevolent outcome.
And I think something else that you point out in your writing, Tom, that is really important for people to remember, and I had to learn this as well, is that sometimes we'll get fixated on a particular place we want to move to, a particular house or apartment, a particular job, a particular person we want, and we can't figure out why. Nobody's listening up there because that didn't come to me. And the point is, maybe there's something else that's far better for you. So maybe don't get totally specific. Just ask for whatever's for my higher good in this part of my life and state that.
Yeah, especially. And I've had people say, I requested a benevolent outcome for this guy to be the one for me. And it didn't happen. You know, well, that's because somebody better is on the way. You just don't know it yet.
Yeah, really wonderful. Another thing.
I use women quite a bit because 75 or 80% of the people that subscribe to my free weekly newsletter are women. They're much more attuned to this than males seem to be.
Well, maybe it's because the divine feminine has returned to the earth and we're celebrating.
Yeah.
It's because we haven't had it conditioned out of us, to that about intuition being so important. And men have that sort of knocked out of them when they're young. No, you have to look at the facts, and women are kind of allowed their intuitive aspect. Maybe, I don't know, but I have noticed this. The vast majority of the people who follow my work as a channeler and read my books are women. Thankfully, not all. It's a nice mix, but
exactly.
It's fascinating. Something else is that some people will say, I've got too much karma. I can't ask for the most benevolent outcome, or I haven't done anything to deserve that. I haven't proven myself with acts of service. And what do you say about that if they just don't feel very good about themselves spiritually?
Well, just start requesting the benevolent outcomes. It'll take care of itself. When they see the beauty that these things are happening to them, they say, well, maybe I do have a little help in this life after all. You just start. And another nice thing about requesting benevolent outcomes is that it keeps you on your soul path. You can even say, I request a most benevolent outcome to keep on my soul path or my soul contract. Thank you. And when you say that, just be prepared. If you've kind of gotten off it a little bit, you might have some challenges come along, but it'll instead of taking you far this way, you'll curve back onto the path.
Oh, fantastic. I used to think our guardian angels would only get involved with us and sort of intervene in our lives if they saw us either about to be in a car crash, let's say, leave before our time, or saw us veering off of our path, and then they would come in and help steer us back. But what you're saying is, no, they can help with a ton of things, but we've got to ask.
Yeah,
you can't just jump in. Yeah.
And that's, and keep in mind, if you can imagine your soul path being like a wide road or something. So when you ask for a benevolent outcome, if it's within the structure of your soul path, then you'll get the request. But if it's like, I request the most benevolent outcome to win the lottery. Okay, that's normally a soul contract thing for someone to be instantly wealthy, whether it be from hitting the lottery or getting a huge inheritance out of the blue or things like that. That's soul contracts. Now, if you ask, I request a most benevolent outcome, well, like in my newsletter just this week, someone said, well, we went to Las Vegas, and my husband and I are not gamblers, but we decided to, put $40 each in the slot machines. And I won, I think she said $120 or $150, and her husband won $150. Now that was within their soul contracts. That wasn't, they didn't win $50,000 on a slot machine or something. They just had fun, and they had requested benevolent outcome to win a little money. The largest amount of money that I can remember someone requesting a benevolent outcome for and it coming through was a lady up in Canada that they were about to lose the vacation home that had been in their family for many years. So for taxes and all. So she requested a benevolent outcome to win the Canadian lottery, and she won 1 million Canadian dollars and saved their vacation house. So
my goodness.
You know,
but that amount was okay with her life chart, her life contract, her soul contract.
To keep that.
Throw her off her path. Most people aren't going to be millionaires because it would throw us off our path.
Yes, right.
I don't know about right now, but for many years, I can tell you if I'd won a few mil, I definitely would have thrown me off. I probably wouldn't be working as much. I probably wouldn't be doing what I do.
Right.
Yeah. Really interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
We just have to deal with us getting frustrated and fed up. We don't get what the ego mind wants, I guess. But okay, let me see what else I wanted to ask here. You combine the most benevolent outcome and the benevolent prayers with the law of attraction. Now, how do you do that?
Okay, I don't combine it. Okay, I'm saying that requesting MBOs and saying benevolent prayers for people is better than the law of attraction because you're putting it out there. You're saying a benevolent outcome, whatever that is, you're releasing it. And in the law of attraction, before I ever started doing benevolent outcomes, I tried the law of attraction, and I'd have this photo of this private jet sitting behind my desk for several years, saying, well, if I ever had a private jet, then that would mean that I would be successful in the film distribution business. And but it never happened. And it was explained to me, Tom, that's not on your soul contract. You know, my soul contract, and I've had to learn this in conjunction with the things I'm doing with Antura and all, but my soul contract, I had never had a life where I was in film distribution or international film distribution. And I was told that the first business I had, which was tour business, that was an easy business. And I didn't think it was that easy, but you know, you learn when you're doing businesses. And so that prepared me. And I was told that because I'd never done international distribution before, I had to learn it from the ground up. So when we sold the tour business and I was looking around for something to do, I started international film distribution from the literally ground up, not knowing anything about it, just OJT almost. And I learned it from there, and it will come in handy for what I'm supposed to be doing with my family coming up this year, supposedly. We'll see.
Interesting. Wow. And you've been in the film distribution business for quite a while. You've run your own company for quite a while.
Yeah.
You're still in it?
We are, although we started trying, we have a library of 5,000 classic movies and TV shows. And we decided, well, first of all, in 2015, I had an ablation heart surgery. And I was told, Tom, you don't need to be going to these international markets anymore, because I'd be under a lot of stress. I'd be having 100 meetings in 4 days and things like that. And so I had to stop going to international film markets. And that meant I couldn't earn what I used to be able to earn by going to these markets, meeting and negotiating and doing deals. So we started trying to sell the film library a while back, and people were saying, "Oh, we want to see your profit and loss statements for the last 3 years," and couldn't do that because I couldn't show what the library really was worth. So we had to get back and start really aggressively going after business, and that's what we're doing. And hopefully we'll be able to put it on the market again later this year because we're starting to do a lot of business.
Excellent. All right. Blessings on that. Wonderful. Wonderful. So let's switch gears a bit where we're talking about Antura, which is fascinating because you share an angel with him. You're in the same soul group. I love that to bits. And you're finding that the rule for communicating with Antura, this lovely ET, is the same as communicating with your guardian angel. So Antura is not allowed to respond to a general question. He's not allowed to say, give a detailed description of his mothership, the mothership he'll arrive in. You have to ask every question on a detail basis.
Right. Now, yes, now he's a soul fragment of the same soul that I'm a soul fragment of.
Oh, wow.
And, our souls are not, it's not one soul having lives on earth. Each soul will have 6 to 12 fragments of itself in what are called soul clusters. And each one of those soul fragments will have 600 to 800 lives on average as part of the Earth experiment. And so where my my sole interest is religions of the world, and I've had lives at the start of every major religion, with the exception of 2 that are in my future. Antura's, and also my other sole interest, it seems, is I'm an advisor to world leaders in other lives. So Antura's sole interest is exploration, and he's already had 800 lives on Earth. He was like Sacagawea, who guided Lewis and Clark. He was Marco Polo's uncle, who traveled the Silk Road before him. So that's his sole interest. And so he's up orbiting the Earth right now in a Syrian mothership that's 3 miles wide, 20 stories tall, with 11 decks, crew of 900, with their families, totaling 1,500, because they lived their whole lives on board this huge ship. Now, this ship was the same one that, if any of your listeners or viewers remember the Phoenix Lights from 1994 or whatever it was, that was his ship that did that pass through over Phoenix and Tucson. So
Wow.
Wow. So and I asked about that, and he said, guilty as charged. He said, yes. I asked the captain of the ship to do that, and he chose a time when there would be no planes that could possibly run into them. And then I asked, but that was before you actually arrived on your ship, because there was a Syrian ship before his that was orbiting, taking all these millions of readings, and then his ship came. And he said, Tom, you're thinking linearly, and all I had to do was to go back in time to do that. So they are able to travel in time back and forth wherever they need to be.
Yeah, not constricted by space-time. That is so wonderful. And you and Antura, being 2 bits of the same soul, basically, is that right? 2 aspects of the same soul. You're from that same water planet in the Sirius B star system.
Yes.
And you've had thousands of lives on that planet. I'm just reading my notes here. And so your guardian angel has also been the angel for Antura during many of his Earth lives. And so that makes it easier for the 2 of you to communicate. Is that right? You're kind of on the same wavelength.
Yes. So at the same time, these in our case, there are 8 fragments of our soul having lives on Earth. Okay, at the same time that we're having these lives, our souls are having 500,000 to 1,000,000 lives all over the universe as part of the soul's learning. So our souls are much more capable or much more amazing than we have had any idea that they could split apart like that and have all these thousands and thousands of lives going on at the same time.
Wow. Just amazing how the soul just seeks to express and to explore, new adventures everywhere. So again, if you've just joined us, we're speaking with author and speaker Tom T. Moore, who has written the Gentle Way book series, as well as a book called Atlantis and Lemuria, about the fall, the growth and fall of those civilizations, and also First Contact, Conversations with an ET, First Contact. And that's we're talking about his friend Antura, whom he communicates with telepathically. And so since you kind of share an angel, your angel provides the questions that he knows you'll ask ahead of time, and Antura will prepare, which is so cool. I want to ask if any of my co-hosts or our panelists, Penny and Micah, have any questions, please do jump in. We'll be going more into the ET territory now, but if you've got any questions about Antura or about Tom's connections to and learning real beautiful wisdom about how our guardian angels work, please go ahead and just and jump in. That's fine.
Yeah, Caroline, it's Penny.
Sure. Yes.
I would like to ask Tom that whole idea of how many fragments that there are of one so-called one soul. It's just, I'm almost speechless, which is hard. I want to know if at any point all the learning of all those souls somehow comes together in some way. I don't know how to ask the question, but it just seems there's so much experience being gathered. Like, does suddenly Tom's head start to swell with that, or what?
No. There's an end game or a goal that we're all working on. So basically, I have to explain a little bit and be sure to get me back on track in case I go off. But the creator of our universe decided that creator wanted to see if there was a way to work with 4 negative energies that have been present, and they're present in all the trillions of other universes, because there's trillions of creators and trillions of universes. Okay, but everyone is only using the 10 positive energies. Okay, negative energies are not bad, they're just negative. It's like plus and minus, but they seem to be extremely difficult to work with. So creator created what is termed the Earth experiment, where our solar system, and more specifically the Earth, there was a specially designed Earth time continuum designed so that the whole solar system exists in these 4 negative energies. And after you get past the Oort belt, then it starts reverting back to the 10 positive energies. So we wound up destroying ourselves a few times, like Atlantis or Lemuria, but eventually in August of 1987, in the harmonic convergence, we reached a vibrational level where we will never destroy ourselves again. And so the Earth experiment will last for 7,000 more years. And eventually, in several million years, well, in 7,000 years, we will have all returned to our home planets and taking these little bits of negative energy with us. And that will allow all of our planets, and then all of the universe, and then all of the trillions of other universes to grow again, because they've been sort of stuck at the same vibrational level of about 5.3, 5.4. And so they will start growing again, raising their vibrational levels. So that's our contribution to not only our universe, but all these trillions of other universes. And so we're the stars of everywhere, because we were able to live within this negative, with these negative energies. Now, the long-term thing, in several million years, all of our souls that took part in the Earth experiment are going to meld together, and this has never happened in any other of the trillions of other universes. We're going to meld together and become a creator, and creator is going to turn over running this universe to us as a creator, and creator is going to the 32nd dimension, where there's a few creators that are already there. Creator is already communicating with one or more of those creators, and that's next up for our creator, but it's going to be several million years. Creator says he's not going to turn over the universe to us until and he's sure that we can handle the job.
Mm.
So hope I didn't get too far off.
Well, that's got my mind spinning, I'll tell you. That's interesting. Why would there be, if there's one creator, there's one creator, whatever that creator is called. So why would that creator designate Earth as a place for us eventually to take over and run? Like, why would that happen? What's the point?
In my newsletters, ask creator that. And by the way, anyone can talk to creator. Creator tells me, Tom, tell all of your, the people that read your newsletter and all, tell them I will be happy to talk to them, and we'll answer even the most trivial questions. Creator says it can handle trillions of conversations, some far beyond our understanding, all at the same time. So if you want to ask creator some questions, or ask a better question about this than I have, then fire away. Creator will be happy to talk to you. But I asked creator this, and I said, well, I'd previously been told that our universe is actually 25 billion years old, and excuse me, and most astronomers think it's only 13.2. Now, just in the last week, there were images that I saw on maybe ABC or something, where the James Webb telescope has spied some far, far, far off galaxies, and they were just astounded that they were able to see them. They're just almost like little dots. And so I was told that eventually the astronomers will come up with a figure that the universe is 20 billion years old, but it's actually 25 billion. Billion. Okay. So creator went to the beings that have been around the longest on these planets that are 25 billion years old or whatever. And
would those be the Watchers? What are called the Watchers, Tom?
I don't know.
Okay.
They were not interested. They were happy with their lives. They've been living these lives for billions of years. Why change it? So they were not interested in taking part or even overseeing the Earth experiment. So I said, well, creator, did you just work your way down through one galaxy after another?
looking for a goat.
And so creator said, no, Tom. He said, needless to say, I know all of you intimately. And he said, I knew there were souls in your galaxy that would want to eventually merge. And so that's how I came and offered this Earth experiment to those souls, knowing that they would jump at the chance.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, I just want to go back a minute to, a few minutes back to where you were talking about your MBOs. And
Okay.
I just thought that was awesome, because I'm always talking out loud to Len, my former husband, who's running around up there somewhere.
Yes.
And I'm
And
always
will
talking.
always be with you till the day you die.
Yeah, I know that. I talk to him, but I'm also talking to everybody else as well. And I'm so glad to know that talking out loud about these kinds of things I didn't know that before what you just said, but it's just a validation of what I've been doing all the time. That's just great. I just love it.
And you can talk, you just have to also kind of listen, because what happens is that all of us have the pineal gland in the back of your heads. Okay. The pineal gland acts as an antenna for all telepathic types of emotions. And also Theo tells me that when he talks to me, I receive these thought packets, they're called, in the pineal gland, and then they're processed by my brain. And they just sound kind of like you're thinking, but you can tell that you're getting it, because perhaps your guardian angel will use phrases that you're familiar with but haven't used in 20 years, something like that. So they'll talk a little different to you to let you know that you're receiving the information. And of course, I'm always told by Theo, tell everyone, surround yourself with a bubble of white light for protection.
So it sounds like your newsletters would be a wonderful resource for asking or seeing what questions have already been asked and discussed.
Yes.
That's what that sounds like.
Yeah, all of my newsletters since 2007 are archived on my website. Okay, under articles and news, on the front page of the website at www.thegeneralwavebook.com, you can sign up for the free newsletters. It's my gift to the world. I don't charge for it. The email addresses are never used for anything else. And you can sign up for the newsletter. You can go to articles and news and do searches if you want to, or start reading the newsletter. Start with the newest ones and work your way back. And you'll see I'm not perfect. I'm told that anyone that does this work is not perfect. And I think I'm in the 10 to 20% accuracy area, but there will be times when I am not perfect. It could be I was exhausted from work, or it could be the planetary aspects were terrible that day, and so on. So there are things that come in that interfere with reception.
That question of soul interests, I don't think I've quite heard it expressed that way, but who can I just ask for that too? Like, I'm not sure that I understand what my own basic soul interest is.
Yeah. And you can't, because it may be, maybe this life is like, and because I don't know you, I'm just going to just throw out something. It could be that this is kind of like a normal, easy life for you. And maybe it's a setup life for something big that's going to come in the next life. 70% of the people on Earth right now, because of our huge world population, are young souls. Now, the soul categories are broken down into young, medium, and old souls. 70% are young souls. 20% are medium souls, and 10% are old souls. And each one of those categories are broken down into quadrants. So there would, let's just say, a number of the people in Syria and Turkey in that area that had the huge earthquakes are very young souls. Maybe they're in anywhere from the first 10 to 50 lives on Earth. Okay, but you get into Europe and the United States and all, and maybe there are many more souls that would be second or third quadrant young souls, and then fewer fourth quadrant young souls. But then, so it all depends on where you are in your development, because you can have a life now and then go back thousands of years for your next life. My wife's next life is going to be back in ancient Egypt, and she's going to be like a king of Egypt, and I'm going to be her assistant. That's 12,500 years ago, but that's a past life for me, but it's her next life. And then after that, since this was a setup life also for us, she's going to be Haile Selassie, the emperor of Ethiopia, and I'm going to be Queen Menon, his closest advisor. Okay, and so you see it, and
that's only possible because all time is now.
Exactly, everything is happening. We can rewrite the past, present, and future. When you say, I send white light and love to every single continent, every single island, all the rivers, lakes, and streams, all the oceans and seas of the world, and I release this white light to go where it's needed the most. Now, I say that each day, but then I also say, I ask any and all beings to come to the aid and comfort of anyone that I've ever harmed, either physically, mentally, morally, spiritually, or emotionally, in any past, present, or future life. And I ask any of your beings to come to the aid and comfort of the families and friends of anyone that I've ever harmed in any way, in any past, present, or future life. Now, that sign and the other one are on my website under signs. You can print them out and pin up so you can say it in the bathroom each morning as I do.
Good. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you.
So you start rewriting. You start rewriting the past, present, and future when you say these prayers, because it. And I'm told, Theo says, Tom, trust me on this. Believe that when I say this, you will. This is very important. In all your 1,000+ lives you had on Earth so far, you have never come up with that prayer. And it's very important for you to say it every morning.
Wow. Fantastic.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Penny.
Okay.
I was just thinking that today, that sometimes I feel attached to somebody the presence of a lot of people they've harmed in a lot of different lives, and they're weighing that person down. They're weighing their life energy down. And I thought, we've got to start asking for forgiveness and release and grace from all those that we've harmed in this or any life at any time space. That's so fascinating that you would say that. I love that. Well, I just want to ask a few questions about your friend Antura. Again, we want to remind everyone, Tom's website is thegentleway.com, and he's the author.
thegentlewaybook.com.
Oh, thegentlewaybook.com. I'm so sorry.
Because when originally I was told by another fragment of my soul group that by the name of Reveals the Mysteries, he's a shaman, was a shaman in the 1600s. And he, now I'm losing my thought train.
Oh, he's the one. That's right. He was the Native American shaman, Reveals the Mysteries.
Yes.
And you were
and he said, Tom, the first time I talked to him was at a Dick Suppin seminar in Sedona. And so I said, Reveals the Mysteries, are you there? And he said, yes, I am, Tom. And I said, wow, this is great. And so he went on to tell me, he said, Tom, he said, you're you know, had a lot ahead of you, and you're going to write books. And I said, no, I'm in the international film business, and I'll do this till I retire. He said, no, books. So I said, oh, okay. So I wrote my first book in about 90 or 100 days. But from my website, I didn't think I could possibly write more than one book. So that's why it's always said the Gentle Way Book.com. I never thought I'd write. And here I am 6 books later. So
Oh, I'm so glad you have. Now tell us, how did you come in contact with Antura? How did that first happen to begin with?
I was talking to Theo one day, and we were talking about some ruins on the other side of the world. And he said, you know, you're going to get to see those one day. I said, I am? He said, yeah. He said, yeah, there's an ET that's monitoring our conversation, and you'll get to see it with him one day. And you know, I was shocked. I thought these conversations with Theo, you know, were my private conversation, and here I learned that somebody else is tuning into it. And Theo explained to me that it's done out of love. You know, I didn't know who this ET being was, and he said, you know, would you like to speak to him now? And I said, no, let me think of some questions, and then I'll get into it. So a couple of weeks later, I'd compiled a whole page of questions, and that's how it all started.
Wow, fantastic. So he contacted you just because he was interested in this earth life, that this aspect, you know, you share a soul. So this aspect of where he also came from, he was interested in what was going on with you maybe on earth and how it felt to be an earth being at this time.
Well, it's all part of my soul contract, Steve. Okay. Now, towards the end, when I was just about to close off the book manuscript and send it into my publisher, he had been hinting. He had told me, "Oh, Tom, you know, you're going to get to ride in my spacecraft. Oh, great! Can I take some photos?" And oh yeah, you'll get to take some photos. You know, little things like that. He kept hinting, and so finally, again, it's like taking the 2x4 to the donkey. His hints weren't good enough. Keep in mind, I'm supposed to be the one asking the questions. He's not supposed to give me the information. And he finally said, Tom, he said, you and your family are going to come to our mothership, and you're going to shoot a series of documentaries for 14 days. And I was flabbergasted. There was nowhere in my imagination that I had ever conceived that we would do that, because no one else has ever done it. And that was the reason why I had to learn the film distribution business from the ground up, because I was also a co-executive producer of some super low budget movies that you've never heard of. But you know, this will be a cheap shoot, I guarantee you. It'll be like a 4-camera shoot with my family, and we'll be shooting 12 hours a day or so on board the mothership, and wow. We're supposed to do that.
Did you say when?
This year, finally. Now, originally, wow, he told me it was only going to be a couple of 3 years after that book went out. And I really got mad at him when he admitted that he told me that just to get it in the book so that people would be interested in reading the book and getting to know them and all that stuff. So, but I've gotten over it, and all the other timelines. Keep in mind, everything starts on the top timelines. Timeline 11, 10, 9, 8, and 7 have all visited the ship and shot their documentaries. Now it's time for my family to do it this year, supposedly. We'll see.
Interesting. Yeah, it sounds like we're moving up in vibration. If you're able to do that, maybe the whole planet is, not just you or your wife or your family, but everybody's moving up in vibration. You know, you kind of broke up for a second. That's why Antura is having this life back in Nomo, the water planet, was to assist me and guide me in doing this documentary. So that's his whole purpose, is getting me done. And then timeline 5, 4, 3, so on. So Nomo is in the Sirius B star system.
Yes,
and
that's the water planet.
Okay. And have you ever seen, even just in your mind's eye, what Antura looks like?
Well, I had to ask for the book. I had to ask every single question as to what he looked like. I thought he would look like us. I didn't know at the time he was an amphibian. Okay, and and so if you were to look at one of the earlier Hellboy movies, there's a amphibian by the name of Abe Sapien. Okay, and he looks a little bit like Antura. Antura says he's much more beautiful than Abe. And also where Abe has 5 fingers, Antura only has 4. He doesn't have a thumb. He has an offset finger at the bottom of his hand that acts for grasping.
Okay.
And he only has 1 gill, not 2 like Abe Sapien. And you know, dark blue skin, more like a dolphin than what is depicted in the Hellboy movies.
Have you seen the 2 Avatar movies? Because those are amphibian beings, and they've got sort of webbed fingers and webbed feet.
I haven't seen the latest one.
Yeah.
Is it out? I guess it's out.
Yes, it came out in December. A friend and I went to see it, and I don't really recommend it. It's very violent, and it has scenes that I had strong objection to. And they're also kind of pretending to be representing Indigenous people, and don't really do the best job of it, and didn't ask any Indigenous people for their input. And I know Native American activists have pointed this out. Our friend Vinayak is saying, "Can I come along as your assistant, Tom?"
Yes.
That would be great.
A lot of people have asked that. Can I carry your bags or cameras or whatever? And
yes, exactly.
I even asked Antura, well, is there a chance? We've got a couple of friends, close friends that, and I asked if I could bring them, and I was told no, that's not on their sole contract.
Yes, right. Okay. Well, we'll all have our time on the ships. Everybody just needs to be a little patient. That's all. I think it'll happen. Our friend Rama, who's one of our co-hosts, has been up on the ships many, many times since he was a teenager. And what's interesting is his father used to work on the show Star Trek, so he knew all those actors.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Very cool. I don't know if you wanted to share anything, Ram, about your time on the ships, but it's very, very cool. Let me see here. I'm just wondering. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I've been going up on the ship since 1967. And my father is Captain Ashtar. My physical father is Govinda. He lives in Sri Lanka.
And it was a little correction. His father worked at Lockheed Martin.
My father worked at
Lockheed Martin.
Yes, that before
Greg Braden was working at Lockheed Martin.
My father worked at Lockheed Martin up until the time they started to create technology for the Vietnam War, as far as I recall, and he quit at the time and started teaching yoga full time.
At At
Bless
Parklands, the Yogananda Center in
Yeah.
California.
Self-realization fellowship.
Right. Big change.
That is, but how beautiful, really wonderful.
And that's kind of interesting too, because Greg Braden did the same thing. He quit after he was assigned to creating that mother of all bombs, the MOAB. And he worked on it for 10 years and it came out in 1989. And I remember he came to Santa Fe and he said something about that. He said, I was told spiritually that it would delay any kind of World War III activities because it was the most advanced nuclear weapon on the planet and no other empire would challenge it. And it actually stopped World War III from jump-starting itself.
Oh, interesting.
And
Wow.
that's interesting to think that we get that question right now because they're toying and talking about World War III again on the news right now.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
No,
Not going to happen. Ditto.
Well, Tom, my last question, and we will repeat your info again about the gentlewaybook.com, being your website, etc. But what is the Federation of Planets? People will talk about the Galactic Federation or Confederation of Planets or worlds, what have you. What do you see the Federation of Planets as being?
Okay. I was told that the Dracos, however they're pronounced, the reptilians from another galaxy decided to come and start acquiring some planets in our galaxy, Milky Way. And that led to a space war that lasted for 27,000 universal years, but 270,000 Earth years. And this Federation of Planets, they weren't formed yet. They only formed after the war ceased and everybody came to peace. Now they came to peace because on planet Nomo, I was a spiritual leader, and we had existed on Nomo for 18 million years, and I was one of the first ones to have a life on Nomo as eventually an amphibian. And so this war just lasted for so long, and this Federation of Planets wasn't doing very good. They weren't a federation yet, but they still were fighting the fight. And so as a spiritual leader, I said, well, why don't we offer to make 10% of the souls that take part in the Earth experiment be reptilian? And they hated the Dracos so much they refused to even make that offer. And so 450 more universal years went by, and we weren't doing very good. We were slowly losing the war. And they said, okay, we'll try it. And they accepted. So after that, then the Federation of Planets wanted me to be to be an advisor, and all the souls that were going to have lives on Earth as world leaders wanted me to be their advisor too. So that's how that all came about. Is that they and I said, but simple problems, simple solutions. They said, no, you think way far outside the box, and that's how that happened, I guess.
Wow, interesting.
And the Federation of Planets formed after that, and in the book it says 200 planets because they didn't want to scare me or my readers. In actuality, it's 20,000 planets that are members of the Federation.
Oh, wow. That's just amazing. And you think there'll be more members, more people will join?
There are other federations of planets. There's one Federation of Planets that doesn't want to have anything to do with our Federation for whatever reason. And then there's another Federation sort of on the other side of our galaxy. So there's at least three, and then there's smaller groups like maybe 10 or 20, 30 planets kind of thing, but not 20,000 like ours.
Wow. Absolutely amazing. Well, we want to thank our guest, Tom T. Moore, for being here. And again, the Gentle Way books are on Amazon. Just look up Tom T. Moore, The Gentle Way, and I'm sure they'll all pop up, as well as Atlantis and Lemuria, The Lost Continents Revealed. That's very fascinating. We'll have to have you back and just do an interview just on that subject.
Yeah.
Just amazing. And of course, what we've been talking about, Conversations with an ET, First Contact, and that has to do with Tom's connection to this lovely being, Antura. So thank you so much for being here, Tom.
Sure.
And again, the website is thegentlewaybook.com. Sign up and get the newsletter. Wonderful, really wonderful.
And read the back issues. You'll get a lot out of it, I think.
Yeah, there's different topics listed on the website, so you'll see, and also some articles and sample chapters of the books, and it's really wonderful. So thank you so much, Tom, and many blessings, and take care. And
have a good evening, everybody. Benevolent outcomes for everybody.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much, and for you, dear one. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Many blessings.